Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing? How are you guys feeling? Now, I really needed to have this conversation with you all because it's been on my mind heavy and it's kind of been irritating me. So I kind of feel like I have to vent and I have to get it out because I don't know, we've been completely like overwhelmed with all this Papoose and Remy Ma drama, right? And a lot of conversations being had around that. So I think it's very important that I come on here and I really have this conversation with you guys and talk to you guys because I'm just really confused on what is going on or what I'm witnessing because I think that we all kind of have different reality or we understand things differently because I'm hearing a lot of people saying that, well, Pap never said nothing about Remy. And I'm so confused on what we both are watching or hearing or, you know what I'm saying, paying attention to. Because from what I understand, the only reason the image of black love was broken was because there were rumors in the battlegrounds that Papoose hit Remy Ma's alleged boo, her person that she was dealing with on the side, allegedly, you know. We thought that she was having this guy come around because it was some battle rap stuff or he was a battle rapper on her league. We always seen her with him. But prior to that, Remy never spoke bad about Pap and Pap never spoke bad about Remy. These two people were the symbol of black love. We were under the impression that Papoose held Remy down for years, you know, while she was locked up and went to go see her every day. You know, every day he went to go see her. And he was just this really good husband. Even when we watched Love and Hip Hop, I've spoken about this past, about how he's held her down during hard times. She had a hard time conceiving, you know, the special baby, amazing baby, miracle baby, you know. They used to call that baby the golden child because it was so hard for her to get pregnant, you know. Like she lost the pregnancy on Love and Hip Hop. So, and he stood by her through that entire time when she was crying. We seen Remy be vulnerable. And honestly, if we're keeping it a buck, Remy has always presented very masculine, you know, but we always chucked it up to the New York girls because no shade, the New York girls kind of have that, you know, I don't know, very advanced or very intense or very masculine type of energy, you know, that girl that has that deep voice. I forgot her name, but she's a female rapper. She's real petite, real small, but she got a really big voice, you know what I'm talking about. But girls like her, even with Cardi, like when you hear these New York rappers talk, they have that extra masculinity in their voice and they carry themselves a certain type of way. New York girls are different. So we always chucked it up to her being from New York. But Remy always had this masculine type of energy. And one thing for sure, Remy went to jail for Pow Pow and she went to jail, you know, for a very long time. She left her baby, her son, you know, we knew that. And we always knew Remy was like, yo, I'm slapping anybody that mess with me, you know. She was quick to slap somebody, quick to, you know, she was that are you dumb energy, you know, very aggressive, you know. But, you know, we knew that Rem had Pap and Pap had Rem. And beyond that, back in the day, you know, Rem, she didn't look the way she looks now, if we're keeping it a buck. You know, Remy wasn't as pretty to a lot of people. You know, I remember when she went through that entire thing with Nicki Minaj, she was seen as like the ogre. You know, people was cracking jokes and saying that she was the ogre. She was big and, you know, just huge. And, you know, Nicki Minaj was this small, tiny, you know, dainty woman, and she was, you know, destroying her in that way. So Remy wasn't always appealing to us. We didn't just always think that she was gorgeous, but Remy fixed her diet, got her body right, got her skin right, you know, and she turned into this beautiful butterfly, you know, just magic, black girl magic, Cocoa Brown, just beautiful, you know, skinny, petite, dainty, beautiful skin, you know, took care of her skin and fixed the things that she had issues with. And now she's this beautiful butterfly, but she wasn't always this gorgeous person. And what we witnessed in the public was Pap just loving her through it. Loving her through it, you know, having her back, all of that, right? So for us at this point, we don't know nothing that's going on. We don't know all these things that these people speaking about now. We don't know nothing. We just thinking that, you know, this is just beautiful black love. They love each other. They've been with each other, you know, held each other down, have gotten, you know, more so Pat because Remy was locked up. So our idea of jail is different from these celebrity ideas of jail. Like Tory Lanez is in jail right now. but they have people putting money on his books. He's living, behind the wall, but he's living pretty good. He's not like suffering for money. He's not suffering for food. He's not like living horrible in there. Don't got nobody looking out for him in there. He got a lot of celebrity friends. We would like to imagine that people have had his back. So many of these guys have came out and spoke up. Tory, free Tory. And beyond that, Tory still got his finances, with the whole Meghan situation. They didn't take away his money. So he still has his money and he's living in jail. He has to serve his time, but it's different from a regular person being in jail. They could still make money. They could still do certain things, because their name alone, ring bells, So all of that is happening. So we're just assuming, Pap is holding it down where Remy didn't have anything. Remy didn't had nothing going on and all of that. Now, a lot of people don't know or did not know Papoose was an underground rapper like that. He was an underground rapper. The time in which he came up was real rap, and he didn't really get his chance to really pop and shine the way a lot of the guys did, but he had a little bit of buzz back in the day, and he was a good rapper. People loved him. His pen game was crazy, but he didn't get a chance to really explode or be this big rapper that he should have been. He just did not, and we knew that he had connected or linked to Remy, and it was love. They loved each other. They had each other's back, right? So Remy went to jail. I would like to point something out about Remy going to jail because I think it's very important for us to speak about this, talk about this, have this conversation about this. Papoose chose to marry Remy Ma, and Papoose chose to hold Remy Ma down. And Remy Ma chose to marry Papoose, and Remy Ma chose to have this guy handle her finances. At the time, her team, everybody, like he said in one of the interviews, I believe it was Drink Champs, the rats and the roaches, they all separated, meaning that all the people that was supposed to have Remy back, they all left her alone. She was alone. She didn't have a true support system, didn't have a true support team. He took it upon himself to step up, and she allowed him to handle the finances. She trusted him to handle her finances, handle her brand, and be able to make money for her while she was locked up. Gave her entire, up to him, her influence up to him, Now, he was married to her. He was having conjugal visits. He was visiting her. He was coming to see her, but he was getting money off of her name while she was locked up. But on the flip side, he was taking care of things. He wasn't letting her name die. He was making money for her while she was locked up. You know what I'm saying? So it's give and take. Like, yes, he did hold her down. He did give up. He could have had a career. He could have had all of these things. Why couldn't he do both, Why couldn't Pap focus on his career, focus on his music, focus on the things that were important to him, do shows? Because Remy wasn't stopping you from doing any of this. Why couldn't you be the person that you were, and hold Remy down? In fact, we've seen situation where Keisha KR flipped the money and gave it right back to Gucci, flipped it, the money that he left her with. And she's a brand of her own. She's a power. She's a, powerhouse, built brands, got different things going on. She, when her man came out, had something to offer to him, had something to give to him. So it was all a choice. Like, Papoose made the choice to just hold Remy down. He could have done other things, but he chose to just hold Remy down and not do other things. And Remy chose to give him the leadway over her career, leadway over certain things. Now, all of this, well, if Papoose is saying that he wrote for Remy or all of this, it benefited everybody. Honestly, it benefited everybody because Remy was the head honcho making majority of the money. All we have is Papoose held Remy down while she was in jail, but he made that choice. Everybody has free will and everybody has choice. He made that choice. It was an appreciated choice. She loved him, there was benefits received for these choices, but it was a choice. Somebody can't give their entire life to someone just because they held them down. Yes, you held me down and it was appreciated. We both benefited. We lived a very good amount of time together because of the choices that we both made, right? So he made these choices. She made these choices. These two people made choices to rock with one another, stick with one another, and be about one another and, connect with one another. He made choices. He just did not follow his dreams. He just did not, do all these different things. He decided, hey, I'm going to stop everything, focus on Remy, do all of that. You could have did other things and focus on Remy, but you chose for that to be your main focus. I don't think that Remy Ma was in jail stopping him from making songs with these different people. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people respect him. A lot of people mess with him. A lot of people have a lot of respect, especially from the 90s. But he chose to hold Remy down. That was a choice that Papoose made. And Remy allowed him to have her business, to have her name, have her likeness, because she did not have a, manager or nothing. You were able to lean on him and you allowed him to do it. Y'all both made choices. Now, they made choices. They decided to stick together. Now, I don't know what happened. What was the breakdown? Because Papoose says it came out of nowhere. The whole her with Eazy situation, it came out of nowhere. I think that he's shocked because he didn't know that she was unhappy. Maybe she didn't have a conversation with him and let him know that she was unhappy. And that's the worst part about people leaving relationships, is like, they leave it messy. If you're unhappy, break up the proper way before you start inviting other people. But Remy, according to Pap, was entertaining other people within their marriage, which I believe is wrong. I don't think that that's right. And it brings a lot of hard feelings and hurt feelings. You taking trips with this man, you doing all of these different things. It's hurtful, right? But I want to be very clear for the public. We did not know nothing until the media found out that, Papoose punched this man. Remy never spoke about it and Pap never spoke about it. It's not like, well, he ain't ever said nothing. She never said nothing. They never said nothing. We didn't hear anything from Remy until Claressa got into it. Same thing, you know what I'm saying? We didn't hear nothing from Pap. It was quiet until Claressa got into it and Remy Ma caught Papoose on the phone, and then it came public that he was really messing around with Claressa Shields. The same way it was conversations about the block guy, Eazy the block captain, it was conversations about Claressa Shields. And both people said it never existed prior to, right? Oh, we weren't nothing. Oh, we weren't nothing. And they're having, oh, we met this time, we got together this time. Claressa's been with Papoose, according to their timeline, about 8 months. Remy and the block guy have been dealing with each other for a minute. Remy Ma has been unhappy with Papoose, and she never shared that. And all of this conversation about the media, it's a big thing. Public, like people, just civilians, we hate being made look stupid in our friend group on the people that we know on Facebook. So imagine you being that public of an image and you are being looked at as a clown because Remy's messing around with this guy. And who is this guy? This guy is a guy that's a rapper, and he's from the Battle League and all of that. You think, well, this is not somebody huge. Everybody has heard this. I remember when the whole thing happened with Safari and Nikki. Safari was like, well, Nikki ain't get with a basketball player, a football player, none of that. She, got with just he expected more of her, the person in which she got with, whatever, but he expected more of her. Like, you would have got with somebody huge, on your level. So I think this is no different. Who is this guy? Who is he? All of this, all we have that makes Papoose so amazing when we have these conversations about Pap is that he held Remy down for seven winters and 8 summers or whatever. He held Remy down for the time that he held Remy down, right? Which is a beautiful thing. But what would you like for that? Are you owed for that? Because when you get in relationships with people or y'all get together, you make choices, right? To hold them down, to be down with them. And unfortunately, when things don't turn out properly, you expect somebody to look out for you. You expect somebody to be a good person to you. You expect somebody, but if it does not happen that way, you have to take it on the chin that you made those decisions, point blank, period. That's why people in general should not make decisions that they can't stand by if it doesn't turn out good. If you make a decision and it turns out bad, you can't blame this person for the decision that you made. You made the decision to hold Remy down. You didn't know what was going to happen when she came out. You didn't know if y'all was going to be together forever. You hope so. You was hearing the conversations on the phone, jail talk. Oh, we's going to be together forever. Things is going to be perfect with us. We going to be great, right? That's what you believed. A lot of women fall into that jail talk. We going to be this. Y'all married on the phone in jail. You thought things was going to be perfect. You did not know. And when you got out, things were perfect for a while. Y'all even had a beautiful baby. But then things fell apart. Things didn't work out. Sometimes things don't work out, And at all, I'm not saying Remy's right for how she went about it. I think it's wrong. She should have told him that, she was unhappy and she just wanted a divorce. It shouldn't take all of these other people coming within the marriage for y'all to leave each other alone. Y'all should do these things prior to anybody being included. You should have told him you were unhappy, told him you wanted to part and separate before bringing another person into it. I agree on that. But she didn't do that. And the thing is, in this situation, Papoose made decisions. Remy Ma doesn't owe it to be with Papoose because he decided he made a choice to stand by her, stick by her. It would be nice if she did. We would like it if she did. But people make decisions. Now, I don't even like the conversation. Well, he ain't never said nothing. She ain't never said nothing. This is just blew out of proportion. People in the media are nosy, so we finding out about Eazy the Block Captain. We finding out about Claressa Shields. We really don't. It's their word and, his word, her word, and the truth. We'll never really know what's going on. All of this conversation when Papoose says, oh, well, you guys see everything. We don't see everything. We see what you guys choose to show me, chose to show us. There's a bunch of Beyonce, for example, a bunch of great things about Beyonce. Absolutely wonderful. But there are things that we don't even know about Beyonce. There are things that she doesn't even show us. Some people are so tight on their image that there are things they want you to know and other things they just don't want you to know. Everybody's talking about, well, we know, we don't know. We don't know why. Remy says Pap cheated. Pap saying Remy cheated. There's all this conversation about lesbians and Remy messing around with a woman, and all of this got out of hand. Now I'm finding out that Papoose has a son. I always thought that he only had a daughter, but I guess he has a son, and his son is gay, and he doesn't stand behind that. And people are saying that that's why he's upset, because he didn't want Remy to expose the fact that he is a hater of, those kind of people, LGBTQ plus, he didn't want that backlash, so he got mad at Remy. That's the real reason why he's upset with Remy, and he's going off. Who knows? All I can say is these people are equally at the same level as far as who's done what. This is the first time we have seen these two go about it and take shots at each other, but it's never been one-sided. The media found out about the Block guy, right? We don't know nothing about it, but they came out and both of them were denying it. Nobody really spoke on it, right? The only time we hear anything is when Remy came out and spoke on Claressa Shields and Pap falling asleep at her house on the phone with Claressa. When we heard that, then Pap came out and said something about Remy, and Remy came out and said something about Pat, and they was going back and forth. It's not like Remy came out and said something about Claressa Shields and Papoose was quiet and Claressa was quiet. No, everybody was talking, going off. Even the Block guy. Everybody was speaking their piece. They have been both. It's not like, oh, Remy been saying stuff. Pap ain't never said nothing. This is the first time he said something. No, they've all said something. Whether it was, Facebook post or Instagram post or, them going live. Maybe this is the first time he's gone live. But they've all spoken and have had statements about it. And we hear that these two people are talking behind the scenes, talking about him going to Africa, him showing her video footage of him being in Africa. You know what I'm saying? All of these different things. These people have had a history. These people have had love, That's why I didn't understand why Papoose did the whole I wrote for you. It's just off of the sense of, oh, now you're going to lose your respect. And which I get. But at the same time, I don't know, maybe that was his response to her bringing up the son, bringing up the fact that you don't like people from the LBQ, you know what I'm talking about, guys, because I'm messing up the names. Maybe he felt some type of way about that, because Remy didn't even really say too much about it. Remy just said, your son doesn't think you're a great father. But that bothered him, and that made him say, okay, well, since you want to talk about that, I wrote for you. And the thing is, if you did write or you did give a bar or something, you benefited from that. Y'all was able to eat off of that, First album, I'm Conceited, I Got a Reason. When she went to jail, you was able to eat off of that. She was in jail. Especially when that song took off, she was in jail. She didn't have the chance to really live into her success. A lot of her success, she was locked up. So the money from that, where you was managing everything, you were the man running everything, you benefited from that. Whether you was paying bills from that, whether you was able to put money on her books from that and get some of that, you know what I'm saying? You benefited from the hard work that you put in, because throughout the years, y'all worked out and was dealing with each other, you know what I'm saying? Together, whatever. Remy helped with your image, Honestly, I think that Papoose did himself a disservice to not pour into himself. He went out and, with TuneCore and did an album. It was consistent albums back to back, a bunch of different albums, and it was dropping, right? All of that, you could have did that when Remy was in jail. You probably would have popped. Imagine if you came out as this big rapper when like you was this huge rapper doing your big one and Remy come out of jail and you and her together, you would have pushed her star power up. You know what I'm saying? Did a big one on, you know what I'm saying? Had your own fame, had your own thing that you could eat off of. And then can't nobody play in your face. You think the thing is, when it's something's yours, can't nobody play with you about it, you know? But if you're making it off of somebody else's hype, somebody else's vibe, somebody else's energy, somebody else's fame, they could take that away from you. They could play with you about it. If somebody else builds your image, they have the power to make you look a certain type of way or move a certain type of way, all of that. And another thing I would like to say is, what is it about Pap that he has to build women up? That has to be a thing within, you know, that you have to always look as though you're holding a female down. That's what it looked like with you and Remy. And that's what it's looking like with you and Claressa Shields. Claressa is this amazing fighter, you know, big fighter. You know, she's put in the time. She's this big fighter. She's done her big one, you know, took time to really build her career, right? And now you're dating her. This is your girl. You're in a relationship with her. But it also looks like this is Remy Ma 2.0. You're tying her shoes. You walking around with her. And honestly, if we're keeping it a buck, you know, Claressa has just recently been getting pretty in her pictures. I don't know if she has a stylist now. She has somebody to get her hair together, you know, do these photo shoots or whatever. But Remy Ma started off looking the same way Claressa. Well, not the same way, child, because I ain't going to do too much. But you know what I'm saying? It was rough. It's rough. Clarissa's just starting to, look like a beautiful butterfly. But prior to, Claressa was been looking real rough around the edges, real big and beastie. You know what I'm saying? And this is how people used to say Remy Ma looked. Keep getting yourself in the same situation. Give it time. We going to see some time go by and Claressa going to turn into Remy. Talking to you a certain kind of way, being a certain kind of way towards you, feeling used, played, manipulated, done wrong. It's a real conversation. Papoose, why are you the guy that these women go to build? And why do you like looking like that? If it's not what it is behind the scenes, because the thing is somebody can look a certain type of way, but we don't know what they doing in their personal life. They not building for real. They not, you know what I'm saying? For real, they don't have that image. Then why do you feel comfortable looking like you're that guy or you're a black woman savior, you know? Oh, he's coming along. He's going to hold you down. You could, cheat on him, or you could go through hard times and he gonna hold you down. He's never gonna leave you. He loves the black queen. He loves that. And most of the guys that look like that or has that type of persona, oh, I just love black women. They be the worst ones. I'm not saying Papoose is. I'm saying those kind of men, those woke brothers, those brothers that it's part of the woke brothers, those brothers that just seemingly look like they just love them some black queens. It's given halfway Dr. Umar, but look, not as intense. You know, I love me a black queen. You know, you always get the ghetto ones, the ones that look like that they have like low self-esteem, or they ain't never had no man love them like you. They ain't never, here you come, loving on them, holding their hand, you know what I'm saying, rubbing the dirt off their feet, you know, wanting to be public with them, claiming them publicly, even though they are, well off in their career, they're successful, but society doesn't deem them appealing or attractive. And here you come validating them. Because I'm sorry, Claressa was never a sex symbol or sexy or looked as having sex appeal or attractive, But now Papoose is with her, giving her a little bit of, she's a little younger, giving her a little bit of sauce. She young. Yeah, I'm going to get your makeup together, baby. You know what I'm saying? Get these glasses on you, baby. Okay? I'm going to have you having or look a certain type of way. Why do Papoose want to look like that? Period. And then on the flip side, Remy, why are you picking these men that you are the head honcho? You are the boss B. Because that was the persona. Oh, Papoose don't do nothing. He broke. He did nothing. I'm paying all the bills. But Eazy ain't too far. You look like you. That's one. You know what I'm saying? Look like a children. Your child. It look like he taking care. Okay. Why do you have to be in a position of power over these men? Where you making the money? This is your battle league that he's rapping on, and you putting the money up so he could battle these guys and lose or win. Is a position of power. And that's the part that people are, yes, you're happy. Yes, it looks good and smiles. But at the end of the day, are you working hard just for happiness? And is he going to, like, are you just a phase that he's dealing with for now? He's kicking it with you, dealing with you for now. And then once he gets to where he is, like, financially stable and, you know, that man that's financially secure, he's going to look for a woman to where he could be the man for, be the head. Because, you know, men have egos. Men have to feel like they're the head of the house. They have to be able to take care of their woman and take care of their children and, you know, all of that. I'm the boss B and I'm taking care, and that's only going to go for so long. Only going to go for so long unless he a dude like Papoose. And eventually you'll get sick of that because you got sick of Pap. According to you. I don't know if that's really how Papoose is, but the way Remy make him sound, that's what it was given. You don't want that. So why do you keep picking? That's why you should pick somebody that's worthy of you. Somebody that has money as well. Somebody that is financially stable, because you said that you was taking care of Pap. You was running everything, and you did not like that. So with the block guy, yeah, he's making you happy, and maybe the D is D'ing. But after that dries and y'all done been together a long time, you gonna get sick of footing the bill and paying for everything and being his mother. Because you got kids of your own. You got a kid of your own. Your other kids are grown. You know what I'm saying? You got responsibilities. Are you going to like to be in this position forever? I think that this is a real conversation between Rem and Pap, but I really think that they still love each other, and I think that they need to put this divorce away, get some counseling, some advisory. You know, I remember Pap talking about, you know, they used to have a counselor on the phone when they was in jail. Call that counselor back. Let him get on the little jail call and be on the three-way with you. Because he need to be on the phone and be like, let me hear how you feel, and let Remy talk, and Pap, you don't say nothing. And then when Pap talk, Remy, you don't say nothing, you know? And then you be like, man, that's how I made you feel, man. That wasn't my intention. You know, like Pap said in one of his interviews, that was the energy that they had on their phone when they was in jail. Maybe somebody got to get locked up. Lock Remy up again. Or lock Pap up this time. Switch it up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? See if Claressa really down. Or she going to be fighting and not, you know, visiting you in jail. We got to see what this is giving. Because whatever broke this, we got to put it back together. You got to drop Clarence and drop, you know, Blockbuster and see what happens. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, this is all I wanted to say about this. I wanted to have a moment where I really talk about this, get the vent about this. But y'all let me know what y'all think. I love y'all. Bye.